Hello everyone, and welcome to another local history talk coming to you from the South Perth archive room. This week in our archives, I came across a newspaper clipping from the West Australian dated May 1960. It features Mrs. Ada Myrtle Riley, previously Miss Ada Myrtle Rewell, sharing some of her recollections of the old mill in South Perth and her memories of her family, who were some of the first settlers in the Swan River colony. Ada was a daughter of Constable William Rewell of the Swan River Water Police and the granddaughter of William Rewell Sr., who was reportedly Perth's first water policeman. Ada's grandfather was one of the first settlers to arrive in the Swan River colony, along with his parents and his 10-month-old sister. William was just 4 years old when he reached Fremantle on the ship Caroline in 1829. William was a spirited young lad, and he got up to mischief just like any other kid. In the summer of 1836, when he was just 10 years old, William got himself into some strife with the law. His mate, William Stokes, who was only 7 years old, wanted some twine for his brother's kite, and William Rewell really wanted some nice, cool melon to eat. So they did a deal. If William Stokes stole some melons from Mr. Walter's garden, then William Rewell would give him some twine for his brother's kite. They ran off into the bush and enjoyed the nice, cool melons. Needless to say, they were apprehended and ended up in the magistrate's court. Each of the delinquents were fined 5 shillings, which in British currency is 25 pence. And when they got home, they got a good old chastising from their parents, I'm sure. Years later, we see William Rewell once again in the courtroom in 1842, but this time as a witness to a crime. William had witnessed a Mr. Thomas Derham stealing a turkey, of all things, from a property, and he ran off with it under his arm. Must have been an odd sight, but it got Mr. Derham 2 months' imprisonment with hard labour. There was a lot of petty crime in the colony. It was a hard life and people were desperate. William, however, as a young boy, taught himself how to build small rivercraft, and he was well known in the South Perth area for taxiing people around the river. He later became an enthusiastic yachtsman, and he taught young men how to sail. The river was his passion, and in his later years he became the colony's first water police constable, ensuring that all game and fishing regulations were carried out. In 1848, William Sr. married Sarah Tapper, and in 1866, William Rewell Jr. was born. William Jr. married Helen Isles in 1892, and then Ada Myrtle Rewell was born at the old mill in 1895, probably in the cottage rather than the mill itself. Ada recalls playing with her sister Hilda in the bush and having to walk through bush tracks to get to school. She recalls how the old mill looked when she lived there, after Thomas Brown had transformed the original building into a hotel and pleasure gardens in 1880. As the colony grew in the late 1800s, the Swan River became a popular spot for day trippers. It was a lovely place to visit and offered opportunities for swimming, fishing, boating, and picnics. This was great for the people enjoying themselves, but all the extra activity and noise proved to be a problem for the black swans that inhabited the area. They became stressed, they stopped breeding, they left the area, and some even died. This was not a good thing. How could we have a Swan River without swans? In 1896, it was decided that the black swans of the Swan River would be given the same care and respect as that of those in England on the River Thames. Constable William Rewell was given the very important job of looking after the black swans that roamed the river. He constructed a large fenced-off area in a quiet part of Miller's Pool, which at that time came right up close to the old mill and cottage. This later became known as the Swannery, and here they were regularly fed and had somewhere to chill out and forget about all the shenanigans going on around the corner. A government notice went out offering £1.10 per piece for each healthy swan that was delivered to Constable Rewell. As you can imagine, this activity became a popular money spinner, and all sorts of birds were brought to the constable. But only local black swans were accepted. The swannery proved most successful, and the birds flourished once more, and William was able to set hundreds free back onto the river. Constable William Rewell Jr. served as a water police constable for 30 years, and he not only saved our beautiful black swans, but he was responsible for saving many human lives on the Swan River. We thank him. Thank you for listening to our little local history talk today, and we hope you tune in again soon. Bye.